Hey everybody, it's Anna. Welcome back to my Fluid Art channel. Thank you so much for being here. Well, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving, at least those of you who live in America or feel like celebrating Thanksgiving, even if you don't live there. And now that Thanksgiving's passed, it is officially the pre-Christmas season, which is always very exciting. I love giving gifts. I love getting together with family. Speaking of gifts, I have a gift idea for you, and it is this right here. So this is the NicPro Metallic Acrylic Paint Pouring Set. So this has a bunch of little bottles of premixed paint, as well as a bunch of other kind of accessories that go along with it. And I am going to unbox one of these today and try it out, and I'm also going to give one away at the end of the video. So that's very exciting. That could be a gift for you or for somebody that you might want to give it to and say, hey, you want to try out paint pouring? Here's a set. So that'll be fun. We're going to unbox this. We're going to see what's included, and then I think we're going to do 2 little pours with it. Let's make some paintings. Time to open up the box. There we go. Okie dokie. What do we have inside? All right. So it has 3 canvas panels. There's a 6x6, an 8x8 inch, and an 8x10 inch. So I don't know how many of you have ever poured on canvas panels. The nice thing about a panel is it doesn't take up a lot of space. The bad thing about a panel is it can warp pretty easily. But that's what I'll be pouring on today, and so we can see how that looks. All right, looks like we got some, what is this? Instructions? Information. Okay, that's great. So if you don't know much about pouring, there's instructions, information in there. Okay, wow. This is a lot of stuff. So, all right, what's in this? First of all, we've got a bunch of these measured cups. These are like 8 to 10 ounce cups with measured lines on there. So if you are a person that likes to measure your paint and your pouring medium by volume instead of by weight, these would be really easy. Not so much for this because this is pre-mixed, but for any other paints you can say, all right, 1 ounce of that, 2 ounces of this. So that's helpful. I measure my paints and my pouring mediums by weight. I use a kitchen scale for that, a digital scale, and that works really well, so I don't need measured cups. But if you like to measure by volume, then these would be really helpful. All right, we have some pipettes. We have a little bottle of acrylic pouring oil, pure silicone. Then there's this little tool. I think this is a dotting tool. So there's a very fine tip over here, and then there's kind of a medium tip over here. So none of them are really big. I've never used one of these before, but it comes with one. Another pipette. What's this? Oh, piping bags. Again, I don't know if you feel like piping out your paint. I've never thought of doing that, but it's in the set. Why not? All right, so 10 cups. Ooh, a strainer. So this is the best kind of sink strainer for acrylic pouring because it has the slots going all the way up the sides. If you try to use a strainer that has like holes along the sides, it's not going to work very well. It needs to be the straight lines that go there. So that's great. I don't think I'm going to be using this today. I love sink strainer pours, but these canvases are awfully small. Strainer pours really do best on a bigger canvas because the little area in the middle where you lift up the strainer at the end, you're always left with a small area that isn't that beautifully ripply design. So if you have a big canvas, then that circle is relatively small. If you are using a very small canvas, then that circular center is quite large in comparison to the rest of the design you've made. So I don't think I'm going to be using it today, but it's great that it comes with it. All right, we've got a palette knife. This is a nice kind of small to medium palette knife. Ooh. some rope for doing string pulls, I guess. This is like nice and thick. I've never done a string pull using a thick kind of rope before, so that's, maybe I should try. We got one of these, I forget what these are called. You can use them for like frosting cakes, but there's a fine and a larger toothed one. I might use that today. I really haven't decided what I'm doing. I'm just going to play around and have fun. A bunch of mixing sticks, very helpful. Okay, then we have some glitter. Oh, these are like tiny little individual containers instead of one big pack. All right, so those glitters, they can be dusted onto your paint while it's still wet, or you can brush them on later. I haven't done tons with glitter. I have put glitter into some paints before, but I don't do it a lot, but there's a bunch of colors, so that's cool. All right, what else do we have? Okay, we got some gloves here. These look like the really big, like food handlers gloves instead of latex gloves. So nice to have. This wouldn't be my choice of glove, but it's nice to have something included in the kit. And then this is a tablecloth. I don't know if there's one tablecloth in here or two. I'm not going to use it because I already have my tablecloth on my table. And then we got two little wooden pieces. So we have a square and a circle. So usually when I paint on wood like this, I like to prime it first. I usually do a spray primer, and I haven't had time to do that, obviously. You can pour directly on wood, but here's what happens when you do an acrylic pour directly on wood. Wood is porous, which means it has little pockets of air in the wood. As the paint soaks into the wood, those pockets of air, they have to go somewhere. So usually they go up into your paint surface. And if your paint has already started to dry on top, then the escaping air has nowhere to go. And it leaves these little like blisters under your paint surface. And so you might have a bumpy texture in your painting that you wouldn't have otherwise if you don't prime your wood first. So you totally can. You can pour right on it, and I've done it before, but you might get some of those pockets. And also thin wood like this, it could have the tendency to warp as the paint soaks in. Okay, now we got a whole bunch of colors, and I think these are all metallic. So we've got yellow, silver, ooh, lemon green, pearl purple, pearl pink, pearl navy blue, pearl peacock teal, violet, white, black, and yeah, these are all metallic, brown, baby blue, metallic gold, pearl white, metallic copper, cobalt blue, pearl orange, pearl red, and pearl green. So that's quite a lot of colors. I'll have fun picking my color combinations today. Move this out of the way. Okay, so now I need to figure out, what am I going to do with all of this? I know I want to do one with some silicone because I want to try out this pouring oil, because I hear from some people like, this oil didn't give me cells like this did, and I thought, oh God. I have only ever had success. The two silicone oils that I have used are the coconut milk hair serum by OGX. That was my first one that I used, and it worked well. And then I got treadmill silicone by Spot On, and that has worked really well, and that's what I use right now because it's just the one ingredient instead of multiple ingredients. I would imagine that this would work just fine, but I'd like to try it. And I want to do one without silicone just to see how the paints kind of behave on their own. So let me open up my canvas panels, pick some colors, figure out my techniques, and we'll be right back. Okay, I think I've figured out what I'm gonna do. So I have two color combos here. This one is sort of my tropical color combination. I just love the Caribbean and all things tropical. Yeah, and that I think I'm gonna add silicone to it, and it's gonna be a flip cup. And then I have some very fall kind of colors because we're still in the fall. And this one's gonna be a ribbon pour. So no silicone in this one. So let me start with the no silicone. And the one thing that the set does not really include is small cups. Now, because these paints are pre-mixed, you don't need to put them in cups first unless you're putting silicone oil into them. But I'm going to use cups to hold up my canvases. And if you want to mix silicone oil in, or if you just need a small cup for doing your flip cup or something, it would be helpful to have some small cups. So let's open up these bottles. They're probably sealed. Yep, they're sealed. I'm going to give them a good shake just to make sure that they're well mixed and they haven't separated. So my colors for this fall-inspired ribbon pour are the pearl red, orange, copper, gold, brown, and black. And I haven't decided, I'm trying to decide right now, do I want one base color that the ribbons will go on top, or do I just want the entire thing to be ribbons? I think I'll just let the entire thing be ribbons. And it's going to be my 8x10. So let's put out some cups here. Okay, so you can see it's not the straightest already, this canvas panel. I'm trying to flatten it out some. What's going to be important for me is to not try to leave tons and tons and tons of paint on here, because if there's too much paint, it'll just run because it's warped. But if you have a thin layer of paint, it's not as prone to run. I'm going to start with just one little cup. I don't know if that's going to be enough. We'll see. If it's not enough paint, I'll add some more and we'll put out another one. Typically for an 8x10 I would want 5 to 5.5 ounces of paint, and this is a 3-ounce cup. But with a ribbon pour, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, pre-mixed paints are always really fun because you don't have to mix them yourself. You just open them up, squeeze them right into the cup, and there you go. Let's start with the copper. Okay, so it's hard to tell from here what the consistency is. It doesn't look really, really thin, which is good, because if a premixed paint is too thin, there's nothing you can really do about it. If it's too thick, you can always add some water or some more pouring medium or something. But there's not much you can do when it's too thin already. So I'm hoping that this is a good consistency. So I'm just going to pour this out, kind of randomly crisscrossing, spiraling around. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so this paint is, when I said it seemed kind of thick, that's true. It is kind of thick. it still flows quite well. So I'm happy with it. I'm not at all disappointed by that. I do think I need some white in here. It's looking kind of dull without some white. So let me open this up really quick, and we'll make just another kind of half cup and pour that on. Okay, got a little half cup of colors. I'm going to try to pour this more slowly and controlled. There we go, that's looking much more controlled. Cool! Okay, let me tip this around so you can see it is definitely flowing. One by one, we'll go over the corners. Now that everything's covered, I'm just kind of getting it centered. Figuring out if there's anything else that I need to change. For example, it never quite all ran off that front edge. There we go. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. That's really cool. I can't wait to see it when it's all shimmering because all those metallics are going to be amazing. I definitely have a lot of air bubbles in there because I shook my paints up right before I used them. So let me give it a quick torch and pop some of those. Very cool. Yeah, it's a really neat fall ribbon pour. And I did like the consistency of that. It was thick enough that I didn't feel like, oh man, this is so thin. You could definitely add some water to thin it down further if you wanted to do a Dutch pour or something like that. But I'm really happy with that. I'm just going to run a stick here under the edges to knock the drips off and hopefully stop it from continuing to pull paint over the edges. All right, let me wash my hands really quick and then I'll come do the next one. Okay, so for my next one, I'm using the peacock teal, white, baby blue, pink, and lemon green. And because I'm adding silicone oil, I do need to put it in cups. But I don't need much of each color. These are 3-ounce cups. I'm going to put, I would say, an ounce or less of each color, because I'm doing an 8x8 canvas, and for that you really only need, I don't know, 4.5 to 5 ounces. So 5 colors would be about an ounce or a little less of each color. That is such a pretty color. So let's get out this silicone oil. Okay, how does this work? This does not appear to be like a squeeze dropper bottle. It looks like it should be. Ah! Haha! I'm glad I checked. So the top on the screws, and then it's got a little tip. So let's just put in 1 drop in each cup. Put that back on. Okay, so now I need to stir that oil into all of these colors. So that's the consistency of the paint. I would call this a medium thin. So it's still, you know, it's not a really thick paint, but it's not way too thin. Great. I'm gonna do my 8x8 square for this one. And another, yeah, just small flip cup here. I think, yeah, I don't feel like getting out a bigger cup. I don't have any 5-ounce cups right now. So we're gonna start with some of the green and then the teal. And some of this beautiful pink color. Gorgeous! Okay, this is a very, very full cup of paint, so I gotta do it this way. And I think I'm gonna slide it here so I can pull it a little bit towards the side. Okay, there's no reason to wait because there's no air inside for the paint to flow down. Let's flip it. Okay, so these are beautiful colors. I see a few kind of large silicone spots and not a lot of other cells. So this might be a paint mixture where it helps to have a torch to make the silicone cells. We'll see. Usually I paint with paint and floetrol as my pouring medium. And when you paint with floetrol as your medium and you add silicone, the cells form very quickly. You don't have to torch or anything. So with this, you might want a torch. I don't know, I'm going to try to do it without a torch because for a kit, it's nice to not need an additional tool. This doesn't look like quite enough paint, so I'm going to make a little bit more and just kind of pour it around the edges here. This is very stripy. This is mostly to help cover the edges so that this main pattern can be there. Anyway, that's the plan. All right, let me start to tilt it. If no cells are forming as I'm tilting it, I will go ahead and torch and see what that makes in terms of cells. Well, this is moving easily, so I don't think I'll have trouble getting it covered. Okay, so you can see these big cells here. Those are from the silicone oil. The small ones appear to be from air bubbles. I'm going to use the torch and see whether adding heat makes the oil do anything else. Okay, that's definitely making some more cells. It's popping air bubbles, which makes some cells, but I can tell that it's bringing up more of the silicone. Yeah, more cells are definitely forming here as I add the heat. All right, let me tilt off the other side. I don't really want that green stripe, so we're going to send it all off. Oh, yeah. That's pretty. Nice. So this is not the most spectacular silicone effect ever. And I don't know if there's a problem with the oil or if it's just that these pre-mixed paints don't want to form cells as rapidly as paint mixed with floetrol. I'm going to torch one more time because I still see air bubbles in here, so I'm going to pop some of those and see if I can bring up a few more cells, and then I'll give you a close-up. Okay, here we go. So you can see it really easily when you have the light shining on it. You can see that kind of pitting from the silicone oil. So it's very large areas. I don't know if I just didn't mix it into the paint well enough or what. So we got some cells for sure, but not a ton. So I was not super amazed with this particular combination of paint and silicone oil, but it is still a very pretty kind of dreamy tropical scene, so I like that a lot. And then moving over to this one. This one's really cool, and you can see how shimmery that is gonna be. So I do like that having a thicker paint, it means that all those ribbons, the layers hold up really well, and they didn't do a lot of mixing. So we do have the little tiny spots that you get when there's air bubbles in the paint, so maybe next time I'll try not shaking them up right before I use them. But really cool. So I'll be back in just a minute to show you how these look when they're dry, but first I wanted to talk about the giveaway because I'm sure you all are very interested in that. First of all, I'm afraid this is only open to US residents. I'm very sorry to all of my international viewers. This is not for you, but the company that makes this can only ship it to the US at this time. But if you want to enter this giveaway, all you have to do is leave a comment and just say, hey, I want one. Or you don't have to say that, just leave a comment. Any comment on this video will qualify as an entry into the giveaway. So I don't know exactly at which point I'm going to go through and pick. It might be, you know, if the video hits 1,000 views pretty fast, that might be the cutoff point. If not, I might cap it at a week and say, all right, a week after it goes up, I'll pick a winner. But when I pick a winner, I will reply to your YouTube comment to let you know if you've won and to give you more details on how to get me your address so that I can get this really cool painting kit mailed to you. Okay. So feel free to comment if you don't understand how the giveaway works, but let these dry and I'll show you how they look then. Okay, the paintings are dry. Now these dried really fast. They dried overnight. Most of the time my paintings take longer to dry. It's at least 24 to 48 hours before they're totally dry. These are small paintings, which helps, but I think also this pre-mixed paint probably dries more quickly than the paint that I mixed up myself. So you can see how totally shimmery that is, and if you gave that a layer of varnish, it would become even more metallic, which is really cool. Obviously, you can see the panels did warp, so this is probably something where I can squash them down a bit flatter after the fact. Also, you can see there are air bubbles, little pock marks that have formed from bubbles that I was not able to get out while the paint was still wet. So maybe don't shake up your paint bottles like I did in this video before you pour them out. Shake them up the day before, that way they don't have air bubbles but they're well mixed. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me for this unboxing and demonstration of this pre-mixed paint pouring set. I hope that you learned some valuable tips from it, and be sure to enter into the giveaway by leaving a comment below. I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Bye guys!